2,000 plus year old science, our educators and NASA would all agree that our oblate spheroid Earth can be measured at the equator as being 24,901 miles in circumference. In order to make a single revolution or cover 15 degrees per hour, puts our land speed on that equator at being almost exactly 1,040 miles per hour. This rotation is going to put a centrifugal force exactly perpendicular to the axis of rotation. No matter where you are, it's perpendicular to the axis of rotation. Gravity, however, is being said to be a force pulling inward toward the core of Earth from all directions at all times, equally. I have a little problem with walking from the equator to the North Pole, not because of distance, but because of the two forces opposing each other. Gravity, not really a force, but for simplicity, let's just call it a force. Centrifugal force is going to be directly outward from the equator and directly inward to the core. But as soon as you start your march toward the North Pole, let's say, you get about halfway there, the axis of rotation has your centrifugal force parallel to the equator. So you'd essentially be leaning backward at a 45-degree angle from the ground you're standing on. But the force of gravity is going to be directly perpendicular to the same ground, drawing the force from your feet and your head equally to the ground, unless you have something that's going to hold you at that 45-degree angle. Just for fun, let's picture that person running in a circle around a car. Yeah, let's continue further north to the North Pole. You get halfway between that point and the North Pole. The angle from the ground you're standing upon is going to be more acute, and the gravity is going to be, well, stronger because it has less centrifugal force pulling you outward, thus pretty much causing you to lie down. I don't know any other way that you're going to be able to get around. Now, should you reach the North Pole, crawling, or however you're going to get there, you might be able to stand back up because the force of, or the centrifugal force wouldn't really apply. You'd be essentially standing on a merry-go-round going around one time in 24 hours. But the force of gravity doesn't have anything to counter it, so you're probably going to get squished. That aside, and all those theories aside, let's just use the principle of centrifugal force versus gravity. So if that gravitational force or pull is going to be the same everywhere you go, then you're going to have a hard time standing up the closer you get to the North Pole from the equator. Let's take a look at an example. Here I've gotten a 10-inch styrofoam ball and applied a couple of inches of yarn all the way around what would represent the equator, and some in other places, let's say Capricorn and Cancer, and then around either pole. Let's see. You can clearly see that the rotation around the axis has the force of the centrifugal force being applied outward everywhere, but the gravity still pulling inward. Thank you, ball. I appreciate your help.